So I'll tell you this, right? There's a study done by, I think it's a scientist. His name is Wilder Penfield. Probably like late 1950s, thereabout. And he was able to prove that any piece of information that goes through any of your five senses is stored perfectly in your mind. So the brain actually works like Google. We tend to think in questions and in images. And in theory, every question that you ask yourself, the brain would some way, somehow find a way to answer that question.
So for example, ask yourself, well, why am I so dumb?
People don't understand that your internal dialogue is so critical to your overall ability to learn. If you go ahead and you ask yourself the question, hey, why are you so dumb? Or hey, why am I so stupid, right? Unfortunately, your brain is going to find you an answer. It may not be right there in that instant, but what's going to happen like 2, 3, 4, 5 days later, your brain is going to wake you up with negative emotions.
Charlie, this episode, before I even introduce my guest, I met him a few weeks ago or about a week ago.
Yeah, about a week ago.
And we had this conversation. This guy blew my mind. This guy blew my mind. Charlie, I don't know if I should call him a scientist, a doctor,
Bro, come on.
a researcher. Charlie, Mr. Tobes.
Yo, my
Charlie.
G, what's up?
What's going on?
I am good. Happy to be here.
You're looking great.
I mean, I came to impress.
Yeah, you should have given me the memo now.
Yeah, you know.
Right. Charlie, bro,
Talk to me.
you're impressive.
I appreciate it.
These
man.
people don't know what's about to happen. Right. First of all, introduce yourself. Tell me who you are
Yeah.
and what you do. And why you ascertain.
Why I'm still this shit.
Right.
Okay, so first off, my government name is Tobias Wood, right? I like to say my stage name is Toby. Okay, feel free to call me Toby. And what I do is that I am a learning consultant. So I work for a training company in the UK called Ingeniously. However, we have been working in across since about 2019. And we specialize in training students and professionals to master the skill of effective learning. Okay, so this is time management, speed reading, memorization, the ability to speak as eloquently as you would like, and even how to understand things on a deeper level. So we're focused in that area. And for me, everything education, everything public speaking and communication, everything God and love, that's kind of where my entire brand kind of comes into play. So the reason why we're here is because we met, like you said, about a week ago, very randomly, if I might add. You know, struck a conversation. He was amazing, and he was not like, bro, I need you on my podcast. I'm like, bro, I want to be on your podcast, and here we are.
Here. Right. So, I just want to jump. There's so much we can talk about.
For sure.
But I just want to jump straight into it.
Yeah.
You said there's something called what? The science of effective learning. How did you put it?
Yes. So there is something called the science of effective learning, where you take learning and you break it down to its most core aspects.
That's crazy because growing up, going to school,
Yeah.
I should believe I've been learning for a long time.
That's what people think.
Yeah, so if you're telling me now that there's a whole science to it, I could have been acing those tests.
You could have been.
Oh my days.
But here we are.
Oh my days. All those, I don't want to measure the letter.
Yeah.
God. Anyway, Toby.
Yeah.
Let's go into the science of effective learning, bro. Because we've had a one-on-one conversation
For sure.
about 2 or 3 times
about
the same topic. And, bro, I'm still amazed. Right. First of all, what is learning?
That's a solid question. So I'd say that learning is the ideal process, okay, to absorbing any piece of information that you feel is relevant to you. right?
The ideal process.
The ideal process, okay? Because there's so many processes by which you can, quote unquote, absorb information. Just by sitting here, my brain is picking up so much, through the five senses. I'm looking at you, I'm hearing a number of things and so on, but I'm not necessarily learning just by existing, right? Learning comes into play when you have a deliberate process. So that's why I mentioned ideal, where you have chosen that, I want to specifically absorb this thing so that I can use it, manipulate it in any which way that I want, and I feel like it's relevant for me. So that attention that you put on that piece of information to then take it in and use it whenever, that is what I would say learning is, right? But this is my definition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, from what I know from you, your definition is it should be the standard. What is the biggest, to you, what's the biggest misconception around learning?
The biggest misconception around learning, in my opinion, is that people believe that intelligence is fixed. Right, you walk into a room and you say, hey, this person is smart, hey, this person is not smart, right? But the honest truth is you can, quote unquote, learn to grow your intelligence, right? If you don't have a fixed mindset about where you believe your intelligence is at. Anything and everything that somebody's capable of. I'll give you a quick example. If I walk into a classroom and I do, a couple of numbers and I say, hey, 36 plus 85 plus this minus this, that's it, right? Them, abacus guys, right? And somebody's able to answer that question particularly quickly, would say that, oh, this person's really smart. They're really good with math. You see, the difference between the person being able to answer that, especially in X amount of time, and somebody who's not, is that person knows how. And therefore, if
it's basically a knowledge gap.
It's a knowledge gap. If I teach you how to do something, how to do it more efficiently, you would then say that you are, quote unquote, smarter, more intelligent. So people can't just say that, oh, I can't learn to do this, or I can't learn to do that. Technically, everybody's capable of becoming a genius.
I want to put this in there because there's just something that they've conditioned us to understand, that there are A students and there are B, C, D students, right?
Yeah.
And these are type of students. Makes you believe that somebody's born an A student.
100%. Yeah.
But what you're telling me now is somebody can be a D student and be terrible in class, but just applying some science to the way they learn, they can be an A student. Exactly.
Because fortunately or unfortunately, our beloved Ghanaian educational system does not exactly promote tailored learning, right? You have a teacher standing in front of a class of 30, 40, sometimes even 50 people, and they are doing one style of explanation. And I'm sure many people are familiar with learning styles. Oh, me, I'm a visual learner, or I'm an auditory learner, and so on, right? But those things tend to help if you are able to take advantage of that attributes that you have. If the teacher is explaining things to people and they're just using big words and jargons and no diagrams, the visual learners are going to suffer. If the learner doesn't even know they're a visual learner, they can't take advantage and start drawing diagrams to help them learn. And they will then perpetually think that I'm just not a good student. And they are trying to learn in a way that does not help them. And teachers are not also assisting them to know or understand that there are other ways to learn and absorb information for you.
What are the ways of learning? What are some of the ways? Because I know you mentioned auditory, you mentioned image. What are some of the ways some of the tricks that you know? Not tricks per se, because we'll get there.
Yeah.
Could you let me know the ways that we can learn?
So I'd say that we have the three major types, right, that I've kind of touched on already, right? So visual learners, auditory learners, and kinesthetic learners, okay?
Kinesthetic.
Fantastic. So kinesthetic in the sense that you are basing your learning on feeling, right? And so somebody who's more visual, even their language will be like, oh, can you see what I'm saying, right? They'll use that word see because they're thinking in an image. Right, and auditory person will be like, okay, can you hear me when I'm talking to you, like, in that capacity? And then a kinesthetic person might say, do you feel me? Right, because they're more in tune with how they feel about certain piece of information. Okay, now outside of these three things, here are the two main types of learners that I can share. Right, you have people who are global, and you have people who are analytical. Okay, think of this as the top tier, right? Then you have people who are innovative And then you have people who are historical. Innovative in that they don't mind change. They don't mind when things are constantly moving. They're looking for new things and so on. And then historical people are people like, they know this one thing. This is what they're going to carry, throughout since. And these small attributes combined creates the true learning profiles, or what we like to call cognitive archetypes, right? That actually help you to understand whether you're a certain type of learner or not, right? And then last but not least, I think there's something that people love the most, is that you have sprinters and you have marathoners. Now, I don't know about you, but assuming that you have a project, okay, right, and it's due in about a month and a half, tell me that you are waiting for 3 days to time before you start this project.
Bro, sometimes, especially in the field that I'm in.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it just this morning. I've come to trust my ability so much. Right. I've had a project given to me in December.
Right.
Deadline was last month. I started 1 week to the deadline.
Look at that, bro. Classic sprinter, ladies and gentlemen. Right. So the marathoners are people who, they like to pace themselves. They like to start ahead of time. So a combination between a sprinter, an innovator, and maybe somebody who's global, you would have a specific archetype. And it's like, you can take advantage of the opportunities that this particular learning profile accepts, right? And I don't know if I define it, but global and analytical, I feel like it's self-explanatory. Global, you take in the major details. These are the people who, you tell them a concept and bam, they've gotten it, right? They don't like to dive into the details. They just like to piece together on a larger scale. Analytical people, man, they're diving deep. And so if you know you like details, when you're learning, look for the details, right? If somebody explains something to you as a general concept, that wouldn't work for you. You need to ask questions. So these are some of the ways that you can actually start understanding a little bit more about how you learn. So beyond your visual and your auditory, these are some other characteristics that can give you a lot more meaning whenever you want to learn something in a way that works for you.
Let's before I get there, tell me how the brain works. We've spoken about learning and all these various types of learning. So I'm not asking about that again. I want to understand basically how the brain gets this information, decides to keep it, delete it. How does the brain work?
So I'll tell you this, right? There was a study done by I think it's a scientist. His name is Wilder Penfield. Probably late 1950s thereabout. And he was able to prove that any piece of information that goes through any of your 5 senses is stored perfectly in your mind.
Stored perfect.
Now, do you believe that your memory is perfect?
Bro. Right before we started this podcast, I put my iPad on that chair. I was almost going downstairs to look for it.
Literally. So I feel like that kind of answers the question, right? No, but honestly, man, so another misconception about learning, if we're to bring it back, right, is your memory is actually perfect. And this goes to anybody and everybody. Your memory is perfect. But you see, there's 2 phases of your memory. The storage is perfect. The recall, however, bro, it probably needs the most work, right? And so when we find ourselves at a point where, every information is stored, and so the brain actually works like Google, right? A, much slower, heavily customized version of Google, okay? Because we tend to think in questions and in images. And in theory, every question that you ask yourself, the brain would some way, somehow find a way to answer that question.
Every single question.
Every question, bro.
So for example, you have an exam, a test, and you come back with D's. And you ask yourself, boy, why am I so dumb?
See, look, listen, you've opened up a world of answers that can come, right? Let me tell you something, okay? So people don't understand that your internal dialogue is so critical to your overall ability to learn, right? Because you start first from a point of motivation. Are you with me? So if you go ahead and you ask yourself the question, hey, why are you so dumb? Or hey, why am I so stupid, right? Unfortunately, your brain is going to find you an answer. It may not be right there in that instant, but what's going to happen 2, 3, 4, 5 days later, your brain is going to wake you up with negative emotions, feelings of demotivation is going to build up certain beliefs because you've asked this question, especially if you've done this repeatedly. And then that now affects your ability. You basically don't think you are capable of doing this or doing that anymore.
That's great, because that answers a question to something I've been asking myself. Because somebody can text you like, "Hey, I feel really terrible this morning. I don't feel."
Yeah.
They ask, "What's going on? Why do you feel this way?" Or, "I feel sad." Why are you feeling sad? Like, I don't really know. It's probably a question you ask yourself.
It's probably a question you ask yourself early on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So any question you ask your brain is going to give you an answer.
It's going to give you an answer. It's going to find something
and give it to you.
And give it to you. Like, because I mean, this is my personal understanding. It's definitely backed by research to some capacity, right? But then the reality is, because your brain thinks in questions, right? And if we take the concept of Google, like, Google might take some time, but to bring you something. As to whether or not it's the exact answer you wanted, you must then refine the question to get what you truly want out of your brain. So it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Wow. I don't want to get too biblical, but you know how the scripture says that as a man thinks,
so shall he be.
Yeah, so that is...
In fact, get biblical, bro. Bring out the Bible.
Yeah. As a man thinks in his heart, that is who he is.
Yep.
So you need to keep your mind on things above. You need to keep your mind on great stuff. You need to keep your mind on things that will motivate you.
100%. God did it first. Whoever who is listening, there's nothing new under the sun.
Right. I remember some time back, I was very demotivated about a lot of things. So many things were going on in my life. And, my pastor said something to me that is, shout out Bishop Charisma anyways. He said something really amazing that has stuck with me till now. And I want you to comment on that. He said these statements. He said, protect your peace. Don't let anyone or anything steal your peace. What do you have to say about that with the way the brain works?
Honestly, when it comes to protecting your peace, I feel like that is so powerful, right? And with the way that your brain works, I would say that you need to start preempting or... Okay, so by virtue of the fact that I work with this company ingeniously, right, there's a lot of personal development that we do as well, okay? And one of the concepts that we've talked about severally in some of our own work meetings and some of these workshops that we do is is a very small exercise called spot the thought, okay? Whenever you realize that your motivation is down and you're thinking things that you don't really want to think, okay, to protect your peace, start by identifying which thought is causing this feeling. Just by identifying and say that, okay, well, it might be the fact that I thought, why am I so dumb? It might be the fact that I thought I'm not capable, I'm not good enough, I'm fearing this thing. Once you've identified it, you then go to step 2, substitute the thought. If your thing or the thing that you're saying which is causing this demotivation is, I am not good enough, you can tell yourself, you know what? I haven't taken the time to actually practice this thing yet, but I am capable. And you substitute that. This is one of the ways that you can protect your peace. By choosing to create a reality by first altering the thoughts that are distorting your reality.
So basically, what we are saying is that there is no feeling or emotion or even motivation or feeling demotivation that comes out of nothing. Like you can't say, oh, I just don't feel motivated. Or I guess there's something that is causing.
There's something that's causing. Oftentimes internally, right? And like I think earlier on we said that we define what learning is, right? The deliberate attention on something. But you see, the unfortunate truth is like you can be sitting here and maybe some music starts playing, then you're subconsciously tapping your leg and so on. You might not be particularly focused on the music, but it's still entering into your mind some way somehow. So the times that we think that, oh man, this thing came out of nowhere, the environments that you're in, the things that you've heard, the things that you've seen online, they are kind of like these sub or small things. The
brain is actually always recording.
It's always recording.
That's crazy.
Bro, it's like when you're on a phone call and then you never cut the call and someone's like, they're hearing everything. Bro, it's always recording.
It brings me to a place of watching your words and how you season what comes out of your mouth.
Definitely.
Because what you say can greatly impact somebody that is hearing what you're saying.
Yep.
So you cannot just look at your friend in the face and say, boy, you dumb.
Nah, bro. Or like, hey, chala, I'm dead. Or, hey, who's dead?
Yeah, because that is something that the brain is recording.
Yep.
And it's not just going somewhere. It's actually, wow.
Because if the Bible has said that, okay, there's power and there's life and death in the what do you call that? Life in the power of the tongue, right? Yeah. If God decided to, okay, let me unleash all the power, everything that you said, brother, where will you be right now? If everything that you said truly did come to pass, where would you be standing in this life?
Probably in a mansion in Dubai.
Hey, I see you. No, but yeah, people have to watch their words. Watch their words and watch their thoughts as well.
Right. Not to delve far away. Let's come back a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because, one of my biggest motivation for this episode is the students. Right.
Yes.
I've been a student before. That can be a very amazing time in your life, and that can be a very traumatic time in your life.
Facts.
Right. So I want to talk about the art of learning properly.
Great question. Great question. I would say that
learning to learn.
Learning to learn. I feel like it first starts with, we've talked a little bit about motivation, so I don't need to dive back into that, right? But you have to prepare yourself to receive information. And that's something that many people don't oftentimes take the time to do. Okay, so there are two things that I'm going to talk about, right? That I feel like, so for the students out here, this is your portion. Right.
Take this time to be great.
Yeah. So the first aspect, okay, is, and this part I can talk about. Maybe for the second aspect, maybe I'll, if I can have something I can draw on or something.
I can give this to you now.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, here you go.
Right, appreciate it, man. So
just go to this. Let me take care of that for you. I don't know why I gave it to you before that.
That's all good. It's all good. But let me talk about the first part in the meantime, right? So the first part is, if you want to prepare yourself to receive information, a simple question that you can ask yourself to see whether you truly understand something or not is, can I explain this to a 5-year-old child? Right? Because the truth is, your ability to say that I've processed and I've understood this particular concept, it lies in how well you can simplify that concept. I've mentored and worked with hundreds of students at this point, right? And it will surprise you how often people find themselves in certain classes, subjects, and they're doing work, and they've just assumed an understanding that they have not gone back to double check. So the truth is, whenever you're learning, bro, humble yourself. I can't tell you how many times I'm trying to learn something and it's like, what does chemistry mean again? Do you get what I'm saying? And I have to just go back and double check. Okay, substance, this, that. Okay, but what does substance mean? And you you keep going down and down and down. Because if you can't simplify and say it in basic terms, truth is you don't understand it. The truth is, anything that you cannot simplify, you do not have enough background knowledge on. Right.
Yeah, bro. Let me not stop you from your diagrams, please.
Yeah, sorry. So when it comes to this aspect, the first tip is prime your mind to receive information by actually getting to the point where...
Let me help you put that in full screen mode.
Yeah.
That button.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
nice. Bro. So prime your mind to receive information, right, by first getting you to the point where you can ask yourself the right questions. So we talked about substituting the thought and so on, asking yourself the right questions. What do I know about this topic already? What do I want to know? Your brain is now going to be generating all of the information that says, okay, fine, give me any random topic that you did in school. Anything at all.
Music.
I
don't know why that came from here.
But you study music?
I study music.
Okay, fantastic. Right, so let's do music, right? Let's say how to read music. Okay, you have your treble clef, you have your bass clef, you have the notes, etc., etc.
I apparently study music in school.
And so you ask yourself, okay, what do I know about music already? What do I know about reading music? Your brain is now going to generate and bring up everything it already knows.
Yeah.
So then when you sit down to start reading, you are now filtering out anything that does not relate to music. And you're absorbing all the important information. Okay. The next aspect comes in the form of time management. So this is the one where I would use the diagram a little bit. Okay. So in the area of time management, the truth is there are ways that we can track our time, which makes it particularly relevant for us. Okay. And there's a concept that some people may be familiar with and other people may not necessarily be familiar with. And it's called the Eisenhower matrix. Okay. And this is developed by actually, he was one of the presidents of, the United States, right? Eisenhower. And this was actually a wartime technique that they used to help make them more efficient and so on. So I think for simplicity, I'll just put here, U stands for urgent, okay? And then NU stands for not urgent, okay? We have I for important, and then we have NI
for not important.
Okay, so there may be people who said, okay, I've kind of seen this before and so on, but how is this necessarily relevant to learning and so on? When you find yourself, especially for students who are doing anything and everything, they have some people are student council presidents, people are doing this, all of these projects and things like that. You need to have a good understanding of what exactly you're about to do and where you're spending most of your time. Because once you can prepare yourself in that capacity, right, you just realize that any student who improves their time management is automatically going to be a better student because they've now created time to learn and they understand what is relevant, period, right? Even without learning techniques and so on. So let's look at this, okay? If I have here, in quadrant 1 over here, I see important and urgent, okay? This is what we call the stress quadrant. Why? Because this thing is important for my life. Maybe it relates to some of the 4 areas of life: relationships, career/academics, body and health, personal development. Those are like the 4 most important areas you'd find yourself in. So if you have something that is contributing towards there and it is urgent, means it has a very clear timeline. It's stressful. It's absolutely stressful because there's nothing you can do. Like, it's due. You have to submit it. You have to submit that assignment, okay? Not urgent and important, right, is what we call the growth quadrant. Okay, because in this space, this thing is important for you. You're getting that project done ahead of time, right? So not 3 days before time or a week before time, please. Right, but you're getting it done ahead of time. You're getting it done a month and a half, right? It's important for your career. It's important for maybe you're studying for your final exams 3-4 weeks ahead of time, but it's not urgent. And then you're giving yourself the space to actually grow because you can start using that information for the other things that come up. Then you have, you have where students probably tend to spend too much of their time in quadrant number 4, which is the trivial quadrant. So this is something that is not urgent.
Not as important.
And not important for you. And this is your anime, social media, Netflix, this, that, everything, right? Now, if you start tracking your tasks and you say, okay, fine, I plan my calendar for the week and I start putting things in this particular matrix just so I can see, and you realize that, man, I have a lot of things in the trivial quadrant. The solution to that is reduce it. Right? You want to be more productive. You've identified what is actually taking your time. You've seen it on paper. Reduce it. It's not important for you and it's not urgent for you. It helps you to realize a couple of things about yourself. Now, the last one is tricky. And we actually do call it tricky distractions. Okay? Now, here's why this is the case. It is urgent, but boy, is it not important.
Tell me about it.
And so when you get to that space where you really do understand all the full value about, let's say, how important and urgent something is for you, okay, you'd realize that, man, if this thing is urgent, it means that it has a very clear timeline, okay, but it's not important, then I need to be able to figure out how I can actually get to that point where I can delegate it, give to somebody else, right? So getting a phone call, for instance, right, is urgent, but it's not important in this particular moment. And so therefore, you're figuring out, okay, how can I delegate this task to somebody else? How can I automate it so that I never have to actually, put myself in that space and so on. Now, this is for time management. This is for preparation. You get the hang of this. You get the hang of tracking this and you start shifting things towards your growth quadrant because now you can see where things are going. You can actually start growing.
Everybody needs to do right
100%,
now.
man.
You need to pause this video and the diagram is going to be on the screen. Pause the video and perform this exercise. And I believe every other thing in your life, you can find a place to fix and fix that. That is amazing.
100%.
Is there any other diagram where you're going to give me back my
I mean, well, there's just one more thing. No, but this one is really important. This one's called the distraction sheet. Okay? And I love this one so much because basically, so I'm drawing it up on the screen, but I mean, forgive my drawing, guys. I would say that I didn't actually study art in school. Right. But imagine this. You're sitting down, you're working as a student. You've decided to study. Okay. You take a plain sheet of paper and you simply just divide it into 3 portions. Okay. And what you want to do is in the portion number 1, you put less than 5 minutes. Okay. Portion number 2, you put less than an hour. And portion number 3, you put greater than an hour. What happens here is any thought that comes into your mind, a distracting thought, obviously. Oftentimes, for instance, let's say you're studying or you're trying to work on something. What are some of the thoughts that might distract you? Anything at all?
Maybe other deadlines.
Other deadlines, right? It's just like, bro, I have to do this thing. I have to text this person and so on. So if you have to text somebody, is that something that'll take less than 5 minutes or less than an hour?
Less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes, right? But if you have to send an email to somebody, but you have to draft the email and so on, that's probably less than an hour, right? And if you have to do a whole concept plan for like maybe the next podcast episode, that's probably greater than an hour. These thoughts will come up while you're focusing on something else. There's another concept, right, about taking something from your mind and putting it on paper. So guys, for this one, you need to put pen and paper. We don't want no high tech, no nothing, right? Just pen, paper, good old fashioned. And you put these things down. It helps you to alleviate the distractions. And then you can get to a point where you can actually now see, okay, this thing is less than 5 minutes. So your next break, you do all the less than 5 minute things. So you're now telling your brain that I'll get to this thing later. So focus on this thing now.
Don't stress me out.
Yeah. So these two, I feel like would already give you a little bit of advantage when it comes to actually just preparing to learn. First, ask yourself the right questions, then see where your time is going. And then when you start learning, the distraction sheet can just help you keep you a little bit more focused.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. If I met you like 10 years ago,
bro,
probably be a valedictorian.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
So if you had 24 hours to learn a new skill,
whoa,
how are you going to go about it?
How am I going to go about it? Man, bro, you didn't tell me you're going to hit me with some of these deep questions. You feel me? Man, if I had 24 hours to learn a new skill, I think I'll draw from a bit of design thinking here, right? There's Einstein did a quote like if I had 24 hours to basically like solve a problem, right? He spent 90% understanding the problem and 10% on the solution, right? For me, I probably take the first couple of hours to break apart sub skills, right? I mean, if you take Give me any skill.
Coding.
Pff, perfect, right? You take coding, okay, and you say, okay, fine, I wanna learn coding in 24 hours, right? People just kind of dive right into it. I'll take the time and actually separate it. Okay, what does coding involve? Coding involves some type of math and logic. Coding involves some type of programming language. I have to decide which one. Okay, and then probably getting familiar with your IDEs, which is your coding environments, you know, whether it's VS Code or Terminal and so on. So I take the time and kind of like break apart everything that is relevant, all the sub skills involved that will help me to be good at this thing. I would then rank these sub skills in order of what I feel I have a better grasp on or not.
Yeah.
And then I'd start focusing and putting all my attention in that particular order. So if I notice that, okay, I'm kind of good at math and logic, but I'm horrendous with the Python syntax or JavaScript and so on, right? I'm kind of good with this particular coding environment, but I'm bad at creating functions. I put all of this into a ranking system, and I start with the one that is most challenging. I work on that, because when you build on that, it feeds into the next one, and then you realize that the next thing are falling like dominoes, literally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I could have learned the piano.
You could have learned the piano. You know, given that you studied music, I mean,
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I want us to go into that trick you showed me, but right before that, let's answer this.
Talk to me.
We spoke about anxiety and stress. As an entrepreneur, myself,
yeah,
you know, running multiple businesses. So you know, sometimes we have 3, 4, 5 deadlines hitting at the same time, right? How, or you could be a student. You know, sometimes these your lecturers can give you back-to-back assignments, different courses all at the same time. You're feeling stressed. You have the end of sem coming up, probably stress from home and all those things. How do you manage this anxiety/stress so that it doesn't kill your performance?
That's a beautiful question, man. Honestly, I'll speak a bit to this, right? But in no way, shape, or form am I any expert on this aspect. But then I would say that it starts by first even trying to ask yourself, what exactly is causing the stress, right? For some people, like I think we had a bit of a chat about this. Like both of us have chosen the path of public speaking, right? And it's not an easy path for people to choose. A lot of people say, oh my gosh, I have stage fright, I can't do this, I can't do that. The thoughts, I can't, right? So you have to ask yourself, am I stressed out or anxious because this is like, quote unquote, a natural body response to this particular situation? Because some people, it's like this their body just naturally is like, bro, I'm freezing, like I can't do this. Like actually they physically cannot, right? And then there's the stress or anxiety that comes for a lot of people from lack of preparation. Let's be real with ourselves. You're stressed out because you did not study. Do you get what I'm saying? And so just by identifying that, you can actually start fixing a few things. If you feel like, so we use a presentation. If you feel like when you hear about the presentation, like for the very first time, that's when you feel the most pressure, right? You're now like, oh my gosh, I have a presentation coming up. Chances are you're visualizing the worst already. We've talked about motivation. We've talked about how important the mind is. Start visualizing better things, right? If you realize that the problem is your preparation, you're just not putting in enough time to get as confident in the thing that you want to be able to deliver, right? You work on your preparation, right? You're putting a little bit more time. You're a little bit more detailed, right? If you feel like that's what's going to help you out. And the one that a lot of people also find themselves in as well is now you finish preparing and you're just waiting to basically do the presentation. What are the thoughts that are going there? You're scared. You're feeling like, your knees are weak, your arms are heavy.
Mom spaghetti.
Yeah, right?
Oh, bro, if you cut that reference.
Like you're
kudos.
But yeah.
Put it in the comment section. Let me know somebody caught that reference. My knees weeks. Yeah.
Charlie, but
that was
yeah,
really
had to drop into something for the culture.
That was really dope.
No, but yeah, so a lot of people find themselves there, and it's still a testament to how prepared you are, or maybe whether you actually took the time to memorize or keep your anchor points. What am I actually going to say? Is it going to be great? Are people going to judge me? So those are somewhere the more emotional responses are. And then last but not least, people who find themselves most stressed out when and or while they're actually speaking. That's where you actually have to train your public speaking. Hear yourself talk. Like, bro, I'm sure you've done this before. Like, people say, oh, talk to yourself in the mirror and things like that. We see, as public speakers, we talk to ourselves a lot to the point where people think we're mad. But it helps because when you hear the sound of your own voice, you don't get startled by your own voice when you're in front of other people. So that's, at least for public speaking, that's one of the ways you can start dealing with the stress, right? Identify the stage and then start working on the thing that really would help you out. But for the most part, it's preparation. It's like, you're not prepared enough.
Okay, so I want to give you a test.
Talk to me.
Because you are saying that our memory is perfect.
Our memory is perfect, bro.
And you are the chief of this skill. And you can, you can take on people and teach them this. Right? This is in real time, guys. No way have I given him any prior knowledge or anything. I'm opening the calculator app on my phone and I'm going to put in 20 random numbers.
20 random numbers. Oh, so what you're telling me is that you want to test my memory?
Yeah, I want to test your
memory. You want to see if I actually got it?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. Cool.
Okay, so I hope everybody in the studio is gassed up for this too. So I'm going to give him 20 random numbers, right?
Yeah. So,
Tobias, close your eye.
Okay.
Right. I know the camera might not get this, but I just want the people in the studio to see what's going on, how random it is. So you have my calculator right here. I don't know. Can we? Okay, I'll screen record and put it on the screen, but the guys in the studio can see. So 20 random. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So very, very random numbers, right?
Yeah.
I want to see how. I'm going to list out the numbers to you. How do you want me to give them to you?
I think just to make it easier for everybody, why don't you call out the numbers in pairs of 2, right? So you call out the first pair of digits, give me a few seconds, then I ask you for the next pair and then the next pair.
Okay. Then you're going to call this to me.
I'm going to do this, right. I mean, you put me on the spot, so I might as well,
Yeah, you said the memory is perfect. So.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 45.
Okay. 45.
89.
All right. 89. Next.
68.
Okay. 68. Next.
57.
You say 57 or 67?
57.
57. Okay. All right. Next.
23.
23. Awesome. Next.
56.
56. Give me one moment. Okay. Next.
95.
95. All right. Next.
24.
24. Give me one moment. Okay. Next.
78.
And the last pair of digits.
63. I don't know. I hope somebody else also put the number with there. You have the number there. Okay, cool. Let's go.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is a random number, right, that you've just generated. Okay?
Exactly, bro.
Given that you called it out in pairs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it out in... I'll go digit by digit just so that you can make sure that I'm accurate. Yeah?
Okay.
And this is for everybody that's listening, watching, and so on. Okay? Good. So...
people are double checking. I like that. Let's go on.
I love it. Okay. So from the very beginning, we should have 4, 5, 8, 9, 6, 8, 5, 7, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, 5, 2, 4, 7, 8, 6, 3.
That's wizardry, bro. That's complete. Yeah, come on, bro.
Yeah. Should I blow the minds of the audience just a little bit more?
Oh, there's more.
There's more, bro.
Okay. What
so, I mean, obviously, for context, guys, like I train memorization techniques and speed reading and things for a living. Okay, and people think that when they see me do these memorization strategies and so on, they're like, wow, I want to get my memory like yours. Okay, and I always tell them that, listen, memory is absolutely fantastic, bro. It can save you so many times.
Yeah.
But only when you add internalization to it. The ability to understand everything. So even though you just gave me this number, right?
Because if I were you, I've probably forgotten saying all that.
Literally,
right?
bro, I'm distracting myself and everything like that, but the mind is focused. You get me?
Yeah, I love that.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to say this number backwards. I love the reaction.
From the back.
From the back. Reverse order.
The numbers I just gave you.
The numbers that you just gave me.
You just recited it forward.
Yeah.
You want to recite it from the back.
Yep. And to put into perspective, like if you're listening right now, ask yourself, can you say the alphabet backwards? We all know the alphabets, right? But you realize that with the alphabet, the way that we all memorize its repetition through the song or something like that, it doesn't allow us to manipulate it. Okay? So that means going in reverse order. Okay, so that means instead of ending with 6-3, I'll be going back 3-6. Can you see that? Okay, so in this case, we should have 3, 6, 8, 7, 4, 2, 5, 9, 6, 5, 3, 2, 7, 5, 8, 6, 9, 8, 5, 4. Bro, I appreciate it.
Charlie.
For those of you who can't see, Nana is dumbfounded at this point. Bro. But yeah,
Can I become like that?
You can become like that.
Because I keep losing too many stuff. I can't tell you how many airports I don't know where they are.
Oh, bro.
I can tell you, bro.
Listen, like it's so crazy. And I'll put it...
Like, am I lying? Right
bro.
now, today I couldn't even find my iPad. And I not to put my self-esteem or anything in the trash, because anybody that knows me knows I think extremely highly of myself.
Yeah.
Right. In any conversation, either I'm there to learn or I know the value I add to the table.
Yeah.
So, not to say I'm dumb or anything, no. But, bro, I that's a skill that I need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you read it from the back.
From the back, bro. Like this. In theory, there's no question you can ask me about this number that I wouldn't be able to tell you. So that's when you combine number. Like,
what's the 10th number?
So in this case, the 10th number should be 3. Yeah.
Come on, bro. How did you do? Like, did you make it a song?
Nah, bro. Nah, it's strategy. So this is what I was saying. Like,
what's the last but 3 number?
The last but 3 number is 7, if I'm correct. So
last but 3.
Last but 3 is 8. Yeah.
How, bro? How?
Yeah.
So like you're saying, anybody can become like this with training.
Anybody can become like this.
Bro, I'm going back to primary. All those papers,
bro. I'm going to correct my past.
No, bro. Like, cause I'm
seriously.
I'm really excited about this episode because of the students, right?
Yeah.
People that. And at the end of the episode, we're going to leave a link in the bio, where people can just sign up for probably a free introductory training, and you can decide to go deeper with Toby. I'm putting him on the spot because he doesn't know this, right? He's already doing too many favors for me. We've met like 2 weeks, but yeah, definitely, because
no, for sure, yeah.
If we had. If this skill was taught in schools, imagine the kind of outputs as a nation that we could have.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, and the best part about some of these things, right, is that a lot of people are trained to learn in a very fixed manner, right? The strategies that we ingeniously puts forward are ways to make your mind a whole lot more engaging, to actually make learning more fulfilling, more exciting, right? Because now imagine
what's the 11th number?
The 11th number is 5. Bro, give me a harder one, man. Like,
because I didn't to count. Bro, that's crazy, man.
Seriously. So it's. I really do want to get to the point, especially like I'm so passionate about Ghana and education and so on. So for the students out there, like we'll work it out with Ghana. Either we'll host like a virtual masterclass, or you can head out to our Instagram and just reach out. We'll definitely get back to you as well. But my personal vision, is to bring creative education to any and every Ghanaian, right?
Wow.
Education that people can truly latch onto and say, you know what, I'm happy I'm learning this thing, and bringing that forward.
Let me ask this, right? Looking at the skill you just demonstrated, what are we missing out in life? What is the quality of life that we could enjoy? Because imagine the number of boys that have forgotten their girlfriend's birthday.
Listen, bro.
Husbands that are crying because they
forgotten what their wife has said. Like,
so like I'm just thinking about the quality of life you could have.
Literally,
because exams is cool, but I'm just seeing it at the very first level.
It goes so much beyond that.
It will make your public speaking engagement so much more. Make you a better programmer. Make you a better friend.
Yes.
Make you a better partner.
Yes.
Make you a better human being as a whole, because you can remember.
Yes. I'll tell you something. I'll let you know a little secret, right? When I first took this course, okay, my memory, like, honestly, bro, similar to you. I used to be the kind of person, like, my friends would tell you, like, bro, I've dropped my bag and I don't even know where I put my bag. Then I'm going around the whole school looking for it. Meanwhile, I was in the library. Like, being forgetful used to be a character trait, right? And I remember I took this course, and even beyond academics, I told myself that, you know what? I really don't. I love people. I love conversations. I want to be a better conversationalist. And I use the memory to help. Because when I'm talking to somebody, I'm suddenly memorizing what they said. And 2-3 days later, I come like, hey, you mentioned you wanted to do this. Or you mentioned you wanted to do that. Like, wow, you remembered. It makes you a more personable person. Like, if you're in your relationships and so on, like, for me, my relationship, this thing, like, it low-key saved my relationship. No, because, like, bro.
Oh, my God, he listens.
He listens to me. Seriously, man, like it's so the benefits.
We need to put out a boyfriend package for this.
Yeah, like come talk to me. Yeah, we'll sort you out. No, but seriously, like the benefits, like you mentioned, the quality of life that you can have. You know, people go into interviews, they go into all types of things, and sometimes it's just being able to, even like think about it like this: you're working, right, and you want to be able to demonstrate certain things to your boss. Instead of walking up to him and bringing out a whole paper presentation sheet and showing him statistics, you're quoting these statistics off the top of your head. The boss thinks, I can rely on you.
What's this guy's name?
Do you get what I'm saying?
Suits.
Mike Ross. See, Mike Ross is the goal. Mike Ross is the goal, bro. But we're there. Subtle flex, but yeah. And it's not just numbers, guys. Like it's words, definitions. For me, one of the first things I did, I told God that, listen, God, you've given me the opportunity to take this course. I'm going to start memorizing Bible verses. For the first time in a long time, I did like 50 Bible verses in 2 days, bro. So it was just
Could I put you on the spot?
You cannot put me on the spot. Because a lot of these are long, and I did this 6 years ago. So in as much as I know them, I can go back to the list and you can tell me, I can recognize the one that I've memorized, but then I don't have it in a list form.
Can we do one more test?
Yeah.
Just, for my people that are skeptical.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to go on ChatGPT. Could somebody give me the Wi-Fi, please? And I'm going to let ChatGPT list out random words.
Okay.
Right. And I'm going to give you the tablet to look at it for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
When you're done, I want you to tell me the exact order they appear.
That's perfect. Let's do this. 10 words, right? You can even call them out. So I don't even want to see them.
Okay. I'll just call them out.
So
okay.
That way, right? This way, because people think the reason why I'm not seeing the information, and I'll give context for that, is not just, for vibes. It's because I truly want to show people that the way that you memorize is that you use your eyes a lot. So I'm even removing the visual advantage so that...
Is it discoverable? I can see it.
So I'm removing the visual advantage, right? So that you can see that in any context, with any type of information, you can memorize it. So 10 of the hardest words that you can imagine.
Okay.
I'm not going to see it. I'm going to memorize. You call it out once, maybe repeat it, and that's it. You don't tell me again.
Once. Okay. Let me screen record right here. Okay, hey ChatGPT, I'm testing my friend's memory right here. I want you to give me how many words?
10 words.
10 random words, most difficult words that might be difficult for somebody to memorize. Put them in a particular order and just give me 10 words. Let's see.
That's actually so cool. They use a ChatGPT voice function. Like, I don't think I've ever done that before.
Yeah, you need to go on my channel.
As a tech guy.
We'll be putting voice on game.
Yeah, bro.
Because imagine the amount of time it's going to take you to.
And I'll sit down, type, put everything there, yeah.
Wow. You may need to crop all the notifications. We have some goodies coming in and we don't want the audience to know.
For those who can't tell, his editor is pissed off.
Okay, 10. So the first word is apple.
Okay.
Chair.
So do me a favor. Word number 1 is apple. Then just say word number 2 is this.
Okay.
So because right now what I want to do is that I want to be able to associate. So the way that you're going to be able to test me, you can ask me, okay, what's the 4th word? Or apple, which number was it in the list? Like, so that makes it challenging, right? So word number 1 is what? Apple. Okay. Word
number 1 is apple.
Yeah.
Word number 2 is chair.
Okay.
Word number 3 is water.
Okay.
Word number 4 is cool.
You say school or cool?
School.
Mm-hmm.
Word number 5 is train.
Is what? Train. Okay.
Word number 6 is dog.
Okay.
Word number 7 is flower.
Okay.
Word number 8 is books. Word number 9 is house.
Word number 8 is what? Books?
Book.
Okay, book. Okay.
Yeah. Number 9 is house.
Okay.
Number 10 is sun. The sun. Right.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Good. So, how do you want to run this?
First, run it from the top.
Run it from the top?
Then you run it from the back.
Yeah. Pause. So, what I would say is, okay, cool. So, word number 1, apple. Number 2, chair. Number 3, water. Number 4, school. Number 5, train. Number 6, dog. 7, flower. 8, book. 9 house, and 10 sun.
What's the third word?
The third word is water.
8th word?
8th word, book.
First word?
Apple.
10th word?
Sun. Brother, you should have done something a bit more challenging. Like, bro, put me.
Bro, let's close it.
Yeah.
Bro, this episode means so much to me, and I really hope that it really does transform a lot of people. I'm not even feeling well today, right? But the show must go on. I decided to make sure that we had our episodes in today.
I appreciate it, man.
Because he's a very busy guy, right? So I appreciate you for making time. That's your camera right there. Final words, and maybe a word of motivation too.
Yeah, I think I'll start with a word of motivation. Honestly, for anybody out there, right, who truly wants to be better, to improve, to take that next step. I mean, personally, I am a man who is choosing to follow God, right, in the best way, shape, or form. Okay, and depending on whoever you're deciding to follow, whichever backing that you have, right, latch on to what you feel is best for you. Okay, the higher purpose, so to speak. But even after doing that, you are capable. That's something that I truly want to remind each and every one of you. You are capable. Everybody is capable of going beyond where they feel like they are. You sincerely have to get into a habit of truly trying and telling yourself that you are actually going to be able to stay the long haul. There's a beautiful concept that my mentor shared with me, and it's called the winner's mindset. Okay, and the winner's mindset is crazy because a lot of the time we set goals for ourselves and we think that, okay, well, maybe 2-3 days in, you've already missed your goal, right? And maybe it was a 1 week goal. You can decide to stop there and be done with it, or you can decide that, you know what, even if I've missed it, I'm going to act like it's still possible, and you keep pushing the boundaries until the very, very last moment. You have that winner's mindset saying that, in truth, I am a champion. And you internalize this concept, you keep it close to your heart, and you get to the point where you're actually creating the life that you want because you are truly trying to get better. Okay?
Definitely.
So for the students, for the professionals, for anybody and everybody that wants to learn. It's fun, it's fulfilling, and it can really help you to create the life that you need. And for those of you who are interested in Ingeniously, you can head on to our Instagram at IngeniouslyGH. Okay, shoot us a DM, right? Or drop your a little comment, right, in Nana's comment section.
We'll get to you.
And we'll definitely get to you, right? But Ingeniously is here to help people understand how fulfilling and exciting learning can be. And we have tried and tested techniques that would help you increase the quality of your life, academically, professionally, or personally. So shoot us a DM and we'll be happy to help as best as we can. Nice.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Appreciate you too, bro.
I hope this episode has blessed you. Learn to earn so you do not burn.
Buzz, bro.
See you next episode.